This meeting is being recorded.
All right. So I am going to mute everyone temporarily. And here we go. All right. So, okay, my name's Natalie, and my company is called No Limits Coaching. And I'm going to give you a little bit of background on me before we really get into it. I am a certified life coach, and today we're going to be talking about weight loss and specifically emotional eating and self-sabotage, because those are things that I struggled with for decades, and I'm guessing that you probably have too, or you wouldn't be here today. So I'm going to tell you about the things that finally really moved the needle for me. And these are things that the weight loss industry does not teach you. Part of the reason is because the weight loss industry makes money as long as they can keep you unhappy, feeling bad about yourself, and desperate for something better. They prey on your feelings of failure and self-judgment, and they lure you in with promises of how easy it's going to be to wake up 6 months from now with the body of a fitness model. And all you have to do is take their pills or their shakes or sign up for their meal plan and put their app on your phone. And they've done all the work for you so that you don't have to think at all. And that works great until you get sick of it. The first time you have a bad day at work, or the car breaks down, or your mom gets sick, or you have a fight with your spouse, the diet goes out the window and you end up gaining back whatever you lost and probably more. And then you start hating yourself and feeling like a failure until you can't stand it anymore. And then you jump onto the next miracle weight loss plan, and the cycle just keeps going over and over again. Each time you quit, you feel a little more hopeless and you hate yourself a little more than last time. And each time you start over, you're more determined to embrace the suck and make it work this time. But it only lasts until your willpower runs out and the cycle just keeps repeating itself. This is exactly how I lived my life for 30 years. And I can tell you, I was miserable. I was desperate to grab onto the short-term success that all those failed diets promised me. But no matter what I tried, it only lasted as long as my willpower. Because what the diet industry doesn't teach you is how to change your mindset around food and how to overcome the lifelong habit of managing your emotions with food. So diet programs will promise you an easy, no-brainer quick fix, and that's exactly why they fail, because they don't teach you the skills that you need to make it permanent. If you want to lose weight and keep it off, you must be willing to change the way you think about food and the reasons why you eat. It is work and it is a learning process. So I'm going to give you the quick tour today, but what I'm going to teach you took me more than 3 years to learn, and I am still not where I want to be yet. I'm not perfect, and I never will be, and neither will you. So before I even get into my 10 commandments, I want to introduce you to the golden rule of weight loss. And that is, perfection is not required. So don't expect it from yourself, and do not punish yourself for not being perfect. This is such a common reason why people get discouraged and quit. Don't let one bad decision or one bad day be the reason that you let everything fall apart. Do learn from your mistakes and do come up with a plan for how you'll do better next time. But don't tell yourself a story about how you've already screwed up once today, so the rest of the day is shot, and oh, what's the use? I've blown the whole week, and so on. Because one mistake won't hurt you, but a spiral of mistakes will. I lost 85 pounds without counting calories or points, without cutting carbs or fat, and without giving up my favorite food. I never had a perfect day, and my weight loss graph is definitely not a straight line. Nobody's is. I had plenty of ups and downs, including, I spoke about this a little bit earlier, I had a 17-pound regain because of an emergency hysterectomy that I had in the middle of my weight loss journey. That erased over 4 months of hard work. But all the setbacks and all the detours helped me to learn what I'm about to teach you. So why do so many of us struggle with our weight? It's not as simple as calories in and calories out. Well, actually, it kind of is, but all that's really needed for weight loss is to create and maintain a daily calorie deficit. The only problem with that approach is that most of us find it very unpleasant and hard to stick with. We feel deprived. We resent not being able to eat the things that used to make us happy. And when things start to get a little stressful, our lifelong habit of reaching for food to feel better becomes overwhelming. Diets that just give you a certain number of calories to eat every day ignore the biggest reason why most of us can't seem to control our urges to eat. Because we've been conditioned since birth to associate food with love, comfort, and reward. Our parents started it when we were babies, when they gave us cookies to make us stop crying. And then we got a little older and they bribed us with pizza and ice cream to get us to clean our room or to do other things that we didn't want to do. The media bombards us constantly with messaging that food is love. We form social bonds with our friends and family over food. And so we learn to use food to comfort ourselves when we're feeling bad. We use it as a reward when we've had a hard day. We use it to entertain ourselves when we're bored, and we use it as companionship when we're lonely. So over a lifetime of constant reinforcement, food has become a substitute for love, comfort, and belonging. We use it to reward ourselves at the end of a hard day. We use it to relax when we're stressed out. So is it any wonder we can't stick to a bunch of diet rules? Diets don't solve the emotional reasons why we turn to food. In fact, they usually make the problem worse, because when you go on a diet, you take away your best or only tool for managing your emotional discomfort. The emotions don't go away just because you decided that you want to lose weight. So now you're left sitting with that discomfort and nothing but your willpower to deal with it. And when you have nothing else to manage those emotions with, nothing to distract yourself from them anymore, they end up feeling even worse. So whatever you do to lose weight must include building new skills to deal with emotional eating, or your willpower will only last until your first bad day. For most of us, it only takes about 4 or 5 days before we're saying, screw the diet, and we're diving into our favorite comfort food again. So if you're struggling to stick to a diet and you don't understand why you can't control yourself at night when you've been so good all day, here's your first takeaway. Any weight loss program must include some kind of non-food or non-alcohol method of dealing with emotional stress. Emotional stress is the #1 reason why we overeat. And overeating, not eating high-calorie foods, is the reason why we gain weight. So the most important thing to pay attention to is not what you eat, it's why you eat. And before you make any changes to what you're eating, here's a preamble to the 10 Commandments. Water and sleep are the 2 most effective fat burners known to man, and they're both free with no lethal side effects. Chemical reactions in your body cannot take place in the absence of adequate water. If your body doesn't have enough water, it will prioritize the reactions that are most essential to life and death processes, and sadly, fat burning is not one of them. Water fills your stomach and it reduces false hunger signals. Most fat burning takes place while you're asleep. So the less time you spend sleeping, the less time you give your body to burn fat. And sleep deprivation is its own form of stress. Sleep deprivation causes cortisol release. Cortisol impairs fat breakdown and gives you sugar cravings and insulin resistance, and it predisposes to fat storage in your abdomen, where it's actually more dangerous for your health. So if you want to burn more fat and feel less hunger and less cravings and have more energy, drink a ton of water and get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. All right, so I'm going to pause here to see if anyone has any questions. Anyone has any questions, you can unmute yourself and speak up.
So far, so good.
Okay.
All right, one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me turn my video. Oh, okay, that's me. Okay. You had mentioned that we need a substitute for emotional stress other than food.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I caught what that would be, like would exercise or some other thing we find pleasurable other than putting food in our mouths?
Exactly. It is different for everybody. There's no one answer that works for everyone. So it really comes down to what it is that you're looking for when you're looking for that snack after dinner, when you're not really even hungry. For me, what I found is that I was looking for entertainment and stress relief and just some kind of engaging thing. And so I started using virtual reality games because I love playing games. And it's such an immersive experience. It is impossible to think about eating when you have this headset on and you got two controllers in your hand and you're in the middle of this alien environment. So for me, that was super entertaining. It was like perfect stress relief. It was like a little vacation every night when I got back from work. So over a very short period of time, I actually found that I was looking forward to what game I was going to play when I got home from work that day instead of what I was going to eat. But not everybody's into virtual reality games. You know, some people might find yoga or reading or a nice relaxing bubble bath or, you know, any number of other things. So it comes down to really pinpointing what it is that you're actually looking for when you're looking for a snack, and then finding something else that fills that need and hopefully does an even better job of it. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, that was good. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, we will keep going. All right. So as I go through these 10 commandments, think about small ways that you could start to apply them in your life. You don't have to attack all 10 at once, and I would definitely recommend that you don't do that. Just pick one or two that feel the most doable and start there. Really try to avoid overwhelming yourself by trying to do too much all at once, because the normal human response to overwhelm is paralysis. When we have too many choices or too many things to do, we do nothing. So start small and build up over time. It should feel easy to fit into your lifestyle. Now, baby steps aren't sexy, but they will get you where you're going. If you start out at a dead sprint, you're not going to go the distance. And that leads me right into my first commandment. Consistency beats intensity. I was the queen of kamikaze weight loss. I would go from 0 to complete overkill every time. I thought if I wasn't working out for an hour twice a day and eating like a runway model, that I would never see any results. I'd spend my entire weekend food prepping just so I could survive the work week without eating at the drive-thru. And as you could imagine, I didn't have time for a social life, and I wasn't much fun to be around anyway. I would usually maintain the superhuman level of effort for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, before I just got too exhausted and miserable to keep going. And then I would slide back into the pit of despair, torture myself for being a failure, and marinate in my depression until the next new thing came along. And this all or nothing mentality just produced a steady weight gain over about 30 years. It wasn't until I gave myself permission to ignore that voice in my head that kept saying, that's never going to be good enough, that I finally started to see real progress. If something feels too easy or too insignificant to make a difference, that's exactly where you need to start, because it doesn't matter what you can keep up for a couple of weeks or a couple of months. It matters what you can keep up indefinitely. So whatever you decide to change needs to fit realistically into your lifestyle. In order to have an effect on your weight, your habits need to be consistent. They have to stand up to your bad days. They have to stand up to special occasions and days when you just don't feel like it. So if you wanted to get stronger, you wouldn't go from never exercising a day in your life to doing a crazy 2-hour boot camp workout 7 days a week. You'd be forced to quit because you'd be too sore to move. So instead, you start slow, you build gradually, and you keep your expectations realistic because you know it takes time to see strength gains. And that's the same mindset you need for weight loss, because it's what you choose to do on a daily basis that determines what you weigh, not what you do for a few weeks while you're high on enthusiasm before you get frustrated and give up. So pick something that feels too small to matter, because then you won't resist doing it. Don't change anything else until the first thing is on autopilot and you don't need to think about it anymore. Make sure that you still have the time, the energy, and the desire to do more, and then start looking for ways to level up. And that takes me directly into the second commandment. Temporary changes produce temporary results. Don't do anything to lose weight that you're not willing to keep doing forever. All diets work until we stop doing them. If you're going to start cutting carbs or eating kale or using meal replacements and pills, Make sure you're willing to keep it up forever, because as soon as you stop taking those pills or the shakes, or you stop buying those prepackaged meals, the weight you lost from doing that will come right back unless you have made significant lifestyle adjustments. So why not just make the lifestyle adjustments and skip the temporary Band-Aids? There's no way around the simple fact that the body you have now is created by the habits that you have now. If you change those habits, your body will change. But if you go back to the same old habits, you get your same old body back. All changes must be permanent if you want your weight loss to be permanent too. So if you don't like it, don't do it. All right, so let's stop here for questions. Any questions? Any comments? Nope. Okay.
That's a big step. That's a huge commitment to yourself. And that's where a lot of people won't even get past. So I don't know if you want to elaborate on that for us, but
For which one?
the whole idea of commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. So it really comes down to, why do you want to lose weight? The deeper inner inspiration, like you really need to have a very powerful motivation, because that has to be something that's more important than your comfort food that you're used to cuddling up with at the end of the night. So for example, people feel like they want to lose weight because other people are laughing at them, or they feel self-conscious. It's based on a negative. It's based on something that they don't want. And in the moment when all you really want is to feel better, your comfort food is going to win out over that negative motivation every time. But if your motivation is, I want to be alive to walk my daughter down the aisle, I want to get down on the floor and play with my grandkids, you know, I want to reverse a diabetes diagnosis, you know, those kinds of things, those are really powerful, positive motivations. So when you think about why you want to lose weight, it really needs to be, if it's going to go the distance, it needs to be something positive that pulls you forward and fills you with a sense of inspiration, rather than something negative that you're trying to escape or get away from. Does that make sense? Okay. Anyone else? All right, we'll keep going. All right. So commandment number 3, don't eat diet food. And what I mean by that is, if you don't like it, don't eat it. So here's the secret. We don't gain weight because we eat fattening food. We gain weight because we eat when we're not hungry. So don't eat food that you don't like just because you think it's healthy or you're supposed to. Because if your meal doesn't satisfy you, an hour later, you're going to be rummaging around in the kitchen for something else that will. And giving up your favorite food just creates feelings of resentment, rebellion, and FOMO. The more negative emotions you create, the more you'll feel the need to comfort and soothe and reward yourself. And how did we all learn how to do that? With food. But if you only eat food that you love and will actually look forward to, then you never feel like you're missing out on anything. You enjoy every meal and your food truly satisfies you. So eat food that you love, but here's the key. Eat only when your body is physically hungry. So not when you're bored, not when you've had a stressful day at work, not when you're lonely or when you think you deserve a treat, only when you are hungry. I lost my 85 pounds still eating cheesecake, buttered popcorn, and nachos. I just didn't eat them every day, and I didn't eat them as if they were my meals like I used to. I ate real food that I actually liked, but I only ate when I noticed that my stomach was growling, and I learned how to stop eating before I had to unbutton my pants. And number 4, stop beating yourself up. Don't punish yourself when you make a mistake. We all do this, and it sets us up for failure. When you beat yourself down for eating a candy bar or skipping a workout, you are creating your own emotional pain. And how do we make ourselves feel better when we're in pain? We eat. So stop being your own worst bully, because when you do that, you're just throwing gasoline on a house fire. If you were trying to teach your child how to read, would you yell at them and call them stupid, pathetic loser whenever they make a mistake? You would never do that, because you know that criticism destroys their confidence and it makes them afraid to try again. They'd be scared to make another mistake because they don't want to get yelled at and made fun of again. So instead, you encourage them, you show them patience and kindness. And if they make a mistake, you help them learn from it so they can try again and do better next time. That's how children learn confidence, by making mistakes, figuring things out, and then doing it better next time. It's no different for us as adults. When you yell at yourself for making a mistake, you're destroying your own confidence and damaging your own self-esteem. You're making yourself afraid to try again, because thinking badly about yourself really hurts. The voice that talks to you inside your own head is the most influential voice in your life. You might not think that you're doing damage to yourself, but you are. So if you wouldn't say something to your best friend, please don't say it to yourself. If you make a mistake, treat yourself with patience and compassion. Calmly decide what you'll do different next time, and don't create your own emotional pain. Mistakes are required in order to learn and improve. So don't look at them as failures, look at them as learning opportunities. Because unless and until you learn the lesson that you're meant to learn, you'll keep repeating the same mistakes until you do. All right, we'll pause for questions. How are we doing so far? Good?
Great.
All right, keep going. All right. Number 5, don't pre-fail. Whatever you say to yourself about your weight loss becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So here's a secret you might not know about the power of your own thoughts. We create the results in our lives that we believe we will get, or that we believe we deserve. If you believe you deserve a raise at your job, you'll ask for it, or you'll look for a new job until you get it. But if you don't truly believe that you deserve a higher paying job, then you won't look for one and you won't ask for more. You might want it, but if you don't believe that you deserve it and that you can have it, you'll settle for something that's more aligned with what you believe about yourself. And it's the same thing with weight loss. If you tell yourself, I just can't lose weight, you will prove yourself right every time. So here's an example of how that works. If your thought is, I can't lose weight no matter what I do, I might as well eat this donut, nothing I'm doing is working anyway. You're going to create a feeling of hopelessness and being defeated. And so you're going to say, what the hell, you'll eat the donut. And of course, the result is you don't lose the weight. And that comes right back to that thought. You'll prove yourself right. See, I told you I couldn't lose weight. I might as well just eat and be happy. So start telling yourself a better story. For example, I'm going to figure this out for real because I want to live a long and healthy life so I can play with my grandkids, and this frosted hand grenade is not going to get me there. So notice how your mood shifts when you talk to yourself with positivity and optimism. Your results will always align with your beliefs, because if they don't, you'll keep trying until you do get the results you're expecting. So don't set yourself up for failure ahead of time by telling yourself that it'll never work. Tell yourself, I'm going to make it work no matter what it takes, and then keep at it until you do. Number 6, no victim stories. So what do I mean by a victim? A victim is someone who has no choice and no power to change their circumstances. When you tell yourself things like, it's not fair, I deserve a treat, everyone else is having some, it creates a feeling of powerlessness and unfairness. It feels like something has been taken away from you, or something is being done to you. This is exactly what leads to resentment and rebellion eating. You are not a victim. You do have a choice about what you eat and how you want to live your life. The way that you talk to yourself will determine your success or the lack thereof. Your willpower is a limited resource. It's like a dam holding back the pressure of all the negative things that you say to yourself all day. If you keep piling more and more negativity and stress onto yourself, you're increasing the pressure on your willpower. Eventually, it's going to break down. And when it does, all the weight of those unhappy thoughts comes pouring out in a raging flood, and you have to wait for all that pressure to dissipate before you can start building back your willpower again. This is a vicious cycle of insanity. So stop adding to your own emotional stress. Remind yourself that you are the one with the power to choose. Whatever you're doing to lose weight is not a punishment that's being inflicted on you. It's a choice that you made voluntarily because you wanted something better for yourself and for your future. So when you say, I have to go to the gym, or I have to spend the weekend meal prepping, or I can't eat that anymore, or whatever it is, it feels like a burden because it implies that you're being forced to do something that you don't want to do. So replace I have to with I get to, or I want to. Remember that it's a privilege to be able to choose how you want to live your life. You are not a victim of your weight loss lifestyle. You're the hero of your story, and you have the power to choose. So embrace your choices and find a way to get excited about them. When you're doing something that you enjoy and look forward to, you don't have to make yourself do it. You create your own motivation and momentum, and you're a whole lot less likely to be thinking about how much you miss your old life. So we'll pause for questions here. How we doing? Any questions so far? Everyone's good? There we go.
I just wanted to contribute that a lot of this stuff goes well beyond just the weight loss question. So many other aspects of one's life.
Say more about that.
Well, I mean, you could talk about exercise. You could talk about relationships in your life. You could, talk about your work, your parenting, you can apply a lot of these things to those topics as well.
Absolutely, 100%. And here's one of the biggest aha moments that I had when I was losing my weight is I noticed such dramatic improvements in my stress level, my relationships, my situation at work, just everything, my confidence, my optimism, everything about my life improved with the work that I was doing. I totally forgot about the weight loss. The weight loss almost became a side effect, because when you become a happier person, a more calm and optimistic person, your need to make yourself feel better with food is dramatically reduced. And it's that stress, that emotional eating that causes most of us to struggle when we're trying to lose weight with a diet. So happier people have less of a need to soothe themselves with food, and that results in weight loss almost automatically. So that's a fantastic observation. Anyone else have a comment or a question? Okay, here we go. All right, number 7, no blaming other people. No one else is responsible for making you successful. I can't tell you how many times I've seen women complaining about what they think is lack of support or outright sabotage from their husband and kids because they keep ordering pizza and takeout when they know damn well she's trying to lose weight. And here's the problem with that kind of thinking. Oops. Oh, my slides are messed up. Sorry. So, have you ever noticed the reaction that you get from the people that you live with when you announce that you're going on a diet? I'm guessing it's probably not too enthusiastic. And that's because your people know that when you decide you want to lose weight, it means that you're going to make them give up all the stuff that they like to eat. And they don't want to. We cannot expect other people to change their behavior so that we can be successful. Other people are not responsible for your success or your setbacks. And thinking this way actually damages your confidence because it takes the power away from you and it gives it to them. So that means that you can only succeed if they show up for you. So if they do, then your success wasn't really yours because you wouldn't have done it without them. And if they don't, then you're left blaming them for all the obstacles that prevented you from succeeding. So if you succeed, it needs to be because of what you did and the skills that you built. If you have a setback, it's because of something that you did or didn't do. And if you learn from that and improve and try again, it will be because of your resilience. You are the one who controls what you think and how you feel. Other people can't manage your life. Only you know what's in your best interest, and you don't need anyone else's participation, permission, or approval to take action. If other people want to join you on your weight loss journey, that's fantastic, but don't make them walk in front of you and don't drag them behind you. Either they walk beside you on their own 2 feet or just let them go their own way. So don't get upset if other people eat donuts in front of you. Don't skip your workout because your partner bailed on you or because you're worried about what all the super fit people at the gym are thinking about you. Other people's opinions don't get to have a vote in how you live your life. And most people are so wrapped up in their own lives, they barely notice whatever you're doing anyway. So just do what you want to do and let other people do what they want to do. That will make for a much more peaceful house with a lot less arguments. Number 8, no postponing your happiness. Oh Lord, I'll be so happy when I lose this weight. All my problems would be over if I could just get into some smaller clothes, right? We've all said things like this to ourselves, and it is a bald-faced lie. There is no magical happiness switch that flips on when you get to your goal weight. There are plenty of plus-size women who work it like they are the sexiest thing on 2 legs. And there are string bean supermodels who hate themselves and feel worthless every day of their lives. And both of those perceptions are reality to them. That's because happiness and worthiness are not created by what your body looks like. You think it is because you spend so much time beating yourself up for not being perfect. But happiness comes from the way you think about yourself and your value in the world. The woman on the left of this picture is named Sahara, and she happens to be a friend of mine. She's a belly dancer, a singer, and an underwater mermaid performer, and she is spectacular. All you have to do is look at the expression on her face to see that she knows it. If you want to lose weight for health or mobility reasons, that's great, and I encourage you to do it. But don't lose weight because you think it will make you happy or popular or sexy, because it won't. Only your own self-image can do that. And the time to start working on your mindset to create your happiness is right now, at whatever size you are, with your stretch marks and your wrinkles and your gray hair and all. Because if you don't learn to love yourself exactly as you are today, then you'll just end up hating yourself in a smaller body. And if you've created a story that your happiness depends on achieving some magical number on the scale, then even if you do get there, you'll be living in constant anxiety and fear of regaining your weight and losing your self-worth. So we develop this lifelong habit of saying negative things to ourselves until that becomes our default way of thinking. But these thoughts are some of the biggest triggers for our urges to emotionally eat, and this is what causes self-sabotage and weight gain. The time to start working on getting rid of self-judgment and self-bullying is right now. Your thought patterns must be relearned, and that takes time, practice, and repetition. Creating positive feelings now will actually help you lose the weight because you'll be reducing the pressure of all those negative emotions that drive your urges to eat. And really, there's just no good reason to postpone feeling good about yourself. So start shifting your focus away from everything that's wrong with you and start celebrating everything that is right about you. All right, how are we doing? Any questions so far?
That also is huge. You know, for many people in a particular mindset for so many years, that's huge. Like, how do I learn to love myself?
Exactly, exactly. It is a lifelong trained thought pattern to be hard on ourselves. It takes a long time and consistent daily work to start reversing that. It can be done. Those negative voices will never really go away, but you can definitely learn how to make them quieter. It takes patience and consistent repetition and just constantly correcting every time you notice a negative thought pattern popping into your head. Stop, recenter, redirect, have a positivity mantra that you can repeat to yourself in your head over and over again as often as it takes. So I said before, your own voice in your head is the most influential voice in your life. So you really need to be in positive control of what you say to yourself. It takes practice, but you can do it. Anybody else? All right, we got 2 more to go. We're almost there. All right. Number 9, no punishment workouts. There is no making up for overeating with extra long, extra grueling workouts. There are 2 reasons why this is really important. Number 1, exercise should be enjoyed, not used as a form of punishment. Number 2, you cannot out-exercise your eating choices. I used to tell myself that I could eat as much as I wanted because I worked out really hard for hours at a time. And that way of thinking got me all the way to 240 pounds. For example, if I tried to burn 1,000 calories through exercise alone, it would take me 90 minutes on the treadmill at a dead sprint, which I cannot do. But I can eat that much in less than 10 minutes with a Chick-fil-A Deluxe and medium waffle fries. Exercise can help to sculpt your body. It can improve your mobility, your heart and brain health, your immunity, your stress levels, the quality of your sleep, but it should never be used as a way to burn calories to make up for overeating. Punishment workouts will only lead you to start hating and avoiding exercise. And the idea that you even deserve any kind of punishment will just give you another reason to want to comfort yourself with food. And the last commandment, the one that probably has the deepest roots in our childhood, throwing food away is not a sin. It is very important to get over your resistance to throwing food away. You do not need to clean your plate. There is no child in Africa who's going to get a free meal because you stuffed yourself at dinner. And if you catch yourself thinking, I need to eat this or it'll go bad, consider the possibility that you might just be keeping too much food in the house. I realized that this was happening to me because I was just plain buying too much food every week. So I started making a meal plan and only buying enough food to make what I needed. If there's no leftovers, there's no worries about anything that's going to waste. And honestly, if you were really concerned with not wasting food, then you would be just as happy giving that leftover slice of cake to someone else to eat, right? If your first thought is, no, that's mine, then wasting food isn't really what you're worried about. So start reframing your definition of what wasting food really means, because the only true waste of food is eating more than what you need. My coach used to say, you can either waste it in the trash or on your ass. When you eat more than what your body needs, it gets turned into fat, and you have to carry it around with you 24/7. And that is the real waste. If you want some hungry kid to get fed, then buy less food for yourself and use the money that you save to donate to a local food bank. That's how you don't waste food, by eating only what you need. And that means eating only when you're actually hungry, not to make yourself feel better. So these are my 10 commandments of weight loss. And let me tell you, I resisted learning every single one of them, and I'm still working on them to this day. You may have noticed that pretty much all of these commandments have one thing in common. It all comes down to treating yourself with kindness, empathy, and respect. When you believe that you are worthy and that you deserve to love yourself even when you're far from perfect, then there's no need to create those feelings artificially with food. Now, you might be ready to charge full speed ahead and get started, but there is a big difference between hearing something that sounds good and actually putting it to work in your real life. So be patient, expect to make mistakes, but remember that mistakes are required for success, and even big ones are not the end of the world, and they are certainly not a reason to give up and quit. So I hope you learned something new and useful today. Learning new stuff is great, but it doesn't do any good unless you actually do something with it. Progress happens when you take what you've learned and you put it into practical application. So if you found value in what I told you today, and if you want to give yourself an unfair advantage, consider letting me help you. I have made all the mistakes and learned everything the hard way so that you don't have to. So if you enjoyed what I had to say today, I invite you to go to my website and book a free 30-minute conversation with me so I can help you get off on a good start. There is also a video series that you can sign up for if you'd like to review what we talked about today. And I make weekly videos that you can find in my newsletter. And don't forget, if you want to rewatch this presentation, contact me afterwards and I will send you the link to the recording as soon as it's ready. All right, so I will pause for questions. And
I have
also,
a question.
yes.
So how do you know that when your body is telling you, I want to eat, that's actually hunger versus not hunger?
Right. So the hunger signals are a little bit different for everybody. Typically, you would look for that stomach growl, that feeling of emptiness. Some people have a hard time concentrating, but it may be different for not everybody has that stomach growl. Some people just notice that they feel lightheaded, or that they're starting to feel weak or jittery. So it's really a process of just getting to know your own body and your own hunger signals. And also, just like logically ask yourself, should I really be hungry right now? I just ate a meal 3 hours ago. Does it make sense that I need more food at this point in the day? Or is there something else? Could it just be a habit? Like I stop every day for 3 o'clock and I want a snack. Or I always have a snack while I'm talking to my best friend at 6 o'clock or something like that. So we have to kind of get to know our environmental triggers. Sometimes we just eat because it's time or it's our habit, and not necessarily because we're hungry. Does that make sense? All right, any other questions?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Lorelei here. Thank you so much. I didn't know if you had a comment on this, but it's so funny that when I started doing yoga, they kind of wanted you to give up drinking coffee, caffeine.
Mhm.
And man, that took a long time, but I did give it up. And I noticed that I was able to lose weight when I didn't drink coffee. But now that I'm drinking coffee again, I don't know if I substituted, but then it gets me all wound up and then I want to eat. I don't know, but caffeine is kind of a weird drug for me.
Definitely. Yeah. So not only does caffeine have a diuretic effect, but it can also cause false hunger signals. So again, it's really just a matter of getting to know your own body. And I personally, like, I drink coffee in the morning and I don't get hungry until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but it's different for everybody. But if you notice a correlation between caffeine and feeling hungry, then that's definitely something to pay attention to. All right, I am going to put my second. I'm going to put,
Okay, I have another question.
yes.
In the morning, I tend to not eat because I just don't feel hungry and I don't really like the food that most people associate with breakfast.
Mhm.
But people say you should always have breakfast. So what's the how do you reconcile that? Of usually what I'll do is I'll just have a yogurt because I feel like I ought to have something in the morning.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like I'm hungry.
You don't have to. If you don't feel hungry and you're not feeling lightheaded or weak or anything like that, you don't have to eat. I actually did experiment myself because I'm not a breakfast eater either. And so I forced myself to eat breakfast even though I wasn't hungry. And I just kind of paid attention to my energy level. And when I got hungry for lunch, it had absolutely no effect whether I ate breakfast or whether I didn't eat breakfast. I got hungry at the same time. And so, like, why have the extra calories? So if you don't feel any kind of weakness or a hard time concentrating or anything like that when you don't eat breakfast, then your body doesn't need it. So above all, I always just tell people, listen to your body.
So there's no advantage to having, 3 times in the day where you eat, or like my thought was always, if you eat in the morning, you have all day to burn off that fat. But if you don't eat till later in the day, it's harder to burn off fat.
If you are only eating when you're hungry and you stop eating when you are satisfied, see, here's a lot of people have a hard time kind of telling when to stop eating. But if you find the happy spot in your hunger signals, you won't really have a problem burning anything off because you're only eating what your body needs anyway. Your body will ask you when it needs energy. And so to me, there's no advantage to forcing yourself to eat if you don't need the fuel And if it's not helping with, for example, that mental focus, if you feel foggy headed, or you have a hard time concentrating, or you're feeling weak, then you might need to eat something. But if eating breakfast has no effect on those things and you're not hungry, I just don't see the advantage to eating.
Okay.
Anyone else? Does anyone want to share whatever their biggest takeaway from our talk today is?
It was excellent, first of all. Like, it's basically just waking up to what's going on in your mind.
Yeah.
That's a big takeaway for me, because we all have these habitual and conditioned things. Like in my family, we always had dessert. And, it took me a few years to say, wait a minute, I'm eating sugar at the end of every meal. So like, there's a lot of things, you wake up, maybe that's the first thing you do is see what you can put in your mouth. I mean, it's just like coming into awareness about yourself, what's your mind doing, what's your body doing. That's a big takeaway for me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And that is 100% true. I can't tell you how important it is to learn how to listen to your body. And you will become very familiar with your own hunger signals, and you will be able to start recognizing when you're eating for emotional reasons versus physical hunger. Yes.
I really, I came to the meeting thinking that you're going to tell us how to get rid of the trauma in our body that makes us overeat, but I was happy. I really like the sleep in the water. That I know works for me. And I really like the fact that dieting in your house, you can't put somebody forward or backwards, because there's always pizza or donuts. I like that. And I forgot the other one. Oh, quit beating up on yourself. And like, I just love ice cream. So if I give that up, I feel like I'm, so I think maybe ice cream once or twice a week. I think I would do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a little pro tip for you on the ice cream. If you only eat a few bites of ice cream, but you really focus 100% of your concentration on the physical sensations, the emotional sensations, like turn your phone off, turn the TV off, just focus all your attention on that ice cream. My coach actually had us do an exercise where we would sit down with our favorite kryptonite food when we were hungry. And we had to sit there for 10 minutes, just smelling it and looking at it and describing, like, my mouth is watering, my stomach is growling, like all the emotional sensations. And then we could take one bite, and we had to roll around in our mouth for another 5-10 minutes and describe all the sensations, and just slowly eating and really concentrating on all the nuances, that whole experience of eating your favorite food. What I realized was that after 3 or 4 bites, I was done. Like, I wasn't enjoying it as much anymore. I was starting to notice that there was like this sugary film kind of starting to coat my mouth I didn't really like. And I stopped after 4 bites, and I was completely satisfied. But the problem with a lot of us is we just eat distracted. We're scrolling Facebook, we're watching TV, we're answering our emails. And before you know it, you look down, your plate's empty, and you don't even remember eating it.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to share? You're all good? Okay. If you scroll back a little further in the chat, I put my contact information in there. If you would like to schedule a conversation, if you want to go check out my website, or you can just message me through Revel. And if you would like a copy of today's recording, let me know and I will send it to you as soon as it's ready. All right. So thank you, everybody. I can't say how much I appreciate you all being willing to spend a piece of your holiday weekend with me.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Enjoy
you
the rest of
so
your
much.
weekend. Bye-bye.